Thank you so much for all the support for the Comsteria Powerful Communication podcast. We're back again. My name's Colin Kelly, and if you're new to this, remember to subscribe and you'll get all our episodes as soon as they're released. And you can also visit us online at comsteria.co.uk. I realised the other day that I've been running this podcast for years now, about 10 or 11 years, and I don't think I've ever mentioned advertising. Now, a lot of that is deliberate because much of the powerful communication that we like to talk about is about not hard selling. It's about all the alternatives to advertising. It's about, working your profile in the media. It's about engaging content for your own social media. And that's all well and good. But I realized that actually many organizations, one of the key elements of communication that they will get involved in at some point at least is they will run an advert. Most businesses at some point will do that. They might not. Many businesses won't go anywhere near the media. Some don't like their own social media. They won't use it. But I struggle to think of a business that at some point hasn't done some sort of advertising. So I'm going to do a little bit on advertising sporadically over the next few episodes, and I had a couple of thoughts I wanted to share today. And when I worked in the various radio stations that I worked in, I always would associate with the sales team. They were never far away. They were usually just across the table at the next desk, sometimes up the stairs, and I'd hear all the racket and the noise that they were making. And I'd sit in on some of the meetings, and I had working friendships with some of them as well. And I was always interested in this atmosphere around the sales team and some of the things that they would get involved in. So they were helping clients advertise on the radio. They were booking campaigns, persuading them to spend money on radio advertising. And then the creative team would put the advert together, and I got quite friendly with some of them. Sometimes I'd do the voiceovers for those adverts, and then they would evaluate the campaign and hope that the client would book again. And sometimes when I was presenting the daytime music programs on Radio Clyde, the certain members of the sales team would take me along to meet the client, I presume to help with persuading them to advertise, because it would be my program they would advertise on, or my program that they might even sponsor, some of them. So there's a couple of things I learned from all of that I wanted to pass on. And the first one, which I think is really important, and a lot of people do this, never advertise from a point of desperation, right? Never run an advert when you're desperate, because that is a surefire way to waste your money. If something's not going well and your response is, I'll chuck some money at it, right? Whether that is an advert on commercial television or radio, or it's a boosted post on social media, or you stick something even in the newsagent's window or the newspaper, if you're advertising from a point of desperation, that is never good. The place to advertise is where you know it's going to work, where you know what you'll get from your money. And the only way you get that knowledge and that confidence and that certainty is if you have tested it, if you have done it before. So that's the second tip, is advertise from a position of strength. Advertise when you've got some budget and you can run a test. You can try it out. You can dabble in advertising. Now, dabbling in it is not, you still need to be committed to it, because otherwise you'll waste your money. You don't even want to waste your money even on a test. But don't do it when things are desperate. Don't do it when it's like, okay, well, God, this is last throw of the dice. I need to shift some of this stuff. I'll run an ad. That's an extremely negative, difficult, and dangerous path to go down. And quite often what happens is it doesn't work. And people go, oh, advertising didn't work, it's a load of rubbish. So the smart sales execs that I used to work with would frequently tell a client or a potential client, we're not doing this. You can't run this ad campaign because you're doing it from that position of desperation and it isn't going to work for you. And they didn't want it not working for the clients, right? So the good sales execs that I worked with would only take on a client when everything aligned and they were confident as well that this is going to work in their favor. Whereas a social media algorithm, they don't care, right? They don't have that sales executive that needs that success, that needs that friendly relationship with you. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, they're just going to take your money. Google Ads, they'll just take your money. They don't care. Google might try and set you up with a, what is it they call it? Yeah, a kind of mentor person, a contact, a customer service agent, and so on. You know, they'll try and do all that, but in the first instance, they'll just take your cash. So don't advertise from a position of desperation. Try and test it first so that you can model some results and you realize what you're going to get for your money. And the other tip I'm going to give you today, and this is something else that a lot of the good sales execs that I worked with, they would always say, you need to advertise. When you run an ad, there needs to be an offer. There needs to be a very specific, tangible, sometimes time-sensitive reason that you're running this advert, because you're not Coca-Cola. And so you can't just run an advert for brand awareness. It just isn't going to work. You're not big enough. Your brand isn't strong enough. Don't run an ad for brand awareness. You need to run an ad at a specific time for a very specific reason. So that may well be, the easiest one is a discount. A bank holiday sale, a special weekend, a free taster session, a 2-for-1 offer, something. You know, there has to be an offer with that advert. So those are the tips I'm going to give you today. We will talk more about advertising as the days and weeks go on. Not too much, but I still see lots of organizations making that mistake. The next one, when I talk about advertising, we'll talk about the creative and what you actually say and do in that advert. But that's all I wanted to say today. And as ever, share this with someone who needs it.